Hey guys, Vince here for Travis again this week. Welcome to another edition of the Pots of Podcast. Today I'm joined once again by Dave. Dave, say hello to the people.
Hello, people. Nice to be back again. You get to see my face with the beautiful sunglasses on today. My eyes are super sensitive to light right now, and with the snowstorm in Minnesota, it's getting pretty dark outside. So I'm going to rock sunglasses so I'm not squinting and looking like I'm half asleep while I'm talking to you. So good to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Anytime, man. Always happy to have you. We've got a lot to talk about this week. Of course, the
Yeah.
disappointing draw to Atalanta on Saturday, which was offset a little bit by some news that I think that surprised everyone with Lazio taking 3 points off of Milan earlier this afternoon.
Yeah.
And then we have a few other odds and ends to talk about in the breakdown from yesterday's game, as well as looking ahead to what we have going for the rest of the season. So, full schedule. Let's hop right into the game. The lineup, of
Sounds good.
course, Jan Sommer in net, Jan Bisek, Manuel Akanji, Carlos Augusto in defense, Dumfries and DeMarco as the wingbacks. Dumfries, of course, returning to a starting role after what I think commentary said was 4 months out of action and a few
My
cameo
God.
appearances as he got back to form. Nicolo
My
Barella
God.
paired with Peter Sucic as the Metzelas, Piotr Zielinski as the Regista, and Marcus Thuram and Pio Esposito leading the line. Dave, what were your thoughts on that starting lineup?
I liked all of it, but a few things. You know, I've been hounding on Jan Sommer for months now at this point. I think after last week and his error that led to yet another goal, that cost us more points. That I was really hoping to see Joseph Martinez. I knew we wouldn't because I didn't think Kivu had the balls to do it. I was unfortunately correct. I did not love seeing Turam start again. I know he's a big name and a star, and sometimes can look like he's creating a lot, but he has been so out of form and not created much of anything for us. I mean, I'll have to look back at this, but has he even contributed to a goal since Laturo has been out?
I
Because I
think I
honestly
saw,
am not sure.
I'd have to check again, but I think I saw a stat that he has one goal in his last 15 appearances.
That sounds
I'll
about
have to
right.
confirm
Yeah.
that, but it feels about right. He's just felt like a total passenger for pretty much the whole season. I mean, he does. The last goal I even remember him scoring was the one, I forget the team, but it was a corner kick and he kind of accidentally shouldered it into the net. Travis and I
Yeah.
talked about it. But
Yeah, I remember. You're right. That was the last, and he hasn't done anything. Like even when he takes a shot, like it curls and everything, but it misses the net. Like I don't know. I just don't think he's mentally there. Like I just don't see the point in starting him. It was a bit like starting Correa last year or Tarimi or even Arnautovic. Like they're not likely to score for you. I just don't understand the choice to do that over Bonnie, who dribbles better. The ball like sticks to his foot, and he actually can shoot the ball on net, as he's proven quite a few times. His decision making needs a little work, but I didn't love that, and I was a little worried about Suchit starting because it is another one of those players that started out really hot and has really kind of fell off a cliff of late, in my opinion. He's just not up to par. And I mean, I think Kivu agreed with me because he was the first guy subbed out. He didn't look that great. He made a couple of errors that led to some chances. So those, I think, were the only three things. I was really happy to see Dumfries back. I was hoping to see that actually make the right side of our offense do something for a change. I mean, I think it was definitely more productive than it has been, but we can get into the game. What did you think about the lineup? You kind of agree what I thought?
yeah, I mean, summer, I do think it's the time. It's been high time to give Josep Martinez more opportunities in net for quite a little while now. I've been clamoring for it on here in the chat to anyone who will listen. Um, and yet we still continue to put Jan Sommer out there, and we still see the same issues from him, and we'll get into some of those in just a bit. Bisek, Akanji, and Carlos is a back line I'm pretty happy with. I know Bastoni, obviously injured, was unable to go yesterday.
Yep.
Carlos usually has been a pretty capable deputy for him when we have to play him, and I thought he was one of our best players yesterday. So
By
I thought
far,
that
yeah.
was a good decision. Dumfries, he gives you a lot of reassurance. I know there was the late goal that we can talk about that Atalanta scored where he dove or didn't dove, whether we can talk about there was an arm extension or not. Dumfries was involved with that, but for the most part, he offers a whole heck of a lot more reassurance than somebody like Luis Enrique does on the right. We've talked about
Yeah.
Barella's form, Zelensky, uh, best deputy for Çalhanoğlu we have in the Regista role at the moment, unless we wanted to tweak the formation. I
Yep.
was fine starting Sucic personally. I know the other options being Mkhitaryan, who we've talked about as maybe is a better sub for here on out. Um, the other options there would be Fratesi, who's been absent, played yesterday in a sub role again, was absent,
Yep.
and maybe the other option there would have been Doof, but I don't know if we're ready to start him in the mid for a game against a team like Atalanta. So
Yeah.
I was okay with
Hakan was
starting
still
Sucic.
out, right?
Yeah, I think the hope is that he'll be back for the next game, or that he should be able
Okay.
to. I think it was a re-aggravated adductor, is what I heard.
Okay.
Um,
That makes more sense then, because in my head, I guess maybe I was thinking that Hakan was available or something, but that makes more sense with Sucic, I guess, then of the options. He probably is the best. He just didn't have a great game. Not that anyone in the midfield was particularly good other than Zelensky, to be honest.
mhm. And then as far as the forwards, I was okay with Taram just because I wasn't sure of what Bonnie's fitness would be. I know we rushed to get him out there in time for the Milan Derby. He wasn't quite ready physically, you could
Yep.
tell.
Yeah.
Um, and the performance told the tale. So wasn't sure what his condition would be. Because of that, I was okay giving Taram a shot, even if he's not had a very good campaign. But we'll get right into the to everything that happened. So one of the first notes I took actually went to a point you just made about Sucic not having a great game, where 5 minutes in he had an errant back pass that gave us a bit of a scare for a moment. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that particular play, but that
I
kind of
do. That
gave us
was one of the things I was referring to when I said he had a bad game. Was he? Yeah, he came close to giving them a free chance at an open goal there.
yeah. So that was a bit of a slight scare early, and we know Atalanta, despite the 6-1, I believe that was the scoreline against Bayern. Despite that result, we know they're no pushovers. They're no slouch. They're usually one of the better teams in Serie A. Even without
Yep.
Gasparini, they seem like they're finding their footing. So moving on, one of our early chances, Nicolo Barella put a solid ball over to Federico Di Marco, and unfortunately it was just wide. Barella, it seemed like this performance for him was a slight upgrade for me from the last couple. I mean, we're still not to the level that we've come to expect from him over the years, but I did feel like there was a little bit more, uh, not just effort, but there was a little bit more end product this time. And there were some moments where he was letting me down. I felt like there was a
Yeah.
really poor Trivella shot well off target at some point later in
Yep.
the first half, but he also did contribute an assist today. Did you want to talk at all about what you thought of Barella's
I mean,
performance?
I definitely think he was more of the engine that we're used to seeing, especially distributing the ball and running around the field. It's again, I think, just that end product we talked about. Like this was a guy that we're not that many seasons removed from, where he was a double digit goal, double digit assist guy. Like he was one of at time he was being talked about as like one of the 10 best midfielders in the world because he was, scoring world class curl goals from outside the box like it was nothing. We haven't seen that at all this year, have we? I'm not aware of one of those. So like I think that's why it's hard to judge him. Like yes, he's still a good midfielder. We're not like saying he's garbage and he's not contributing, but he's just not showing up at that same level that we are accustomed to getting from him and that has contributed to many of our trophies during this period that he's been with our club. And I think that's really what the change is. I still think it's he's kind of got into a slump and now he's in his head and he's just trying to overdo it and do all these crazy creative things because it seems like he thinks that is what's going to break him out of this slump instead of just doing the basics and getting back to just smashing the ball and having fun Because if you go back and look at his old highlights when he would score those curlers, like he was smiling with his tongue out and like dancing around. Like he does not look like that anymore. He looks like he's labored and not enjoying himself on the field. Like he's anxious and just not really having fun anymore. And I think that's really why he is not doing as well, frankly. And I thought that would be something Kivu would really be able to fix, and he just has not been able to.
Right. And I think some of those problems too transcend to a few other players as well. You know, the
Yep.
little bit more muted reaction, less enthusiasm, the everything seeming more labored or more difficult. I know there's a few guys who seem to have that same problem. And as far as lacking end product, yeah, that's something we can talk about in spades yesterday.
Oh
Uh,
my god.
there was one of the first moments I saw that I took note of about at the 6 minute mark, Zelensky, I forget the exact sequence, but I have here in my notes, Zilu shoot. And
Yeah.
actually, if we're looking over all the notes yesterday, I have about like one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 instances at least where I'm begging somebody to shoot the ball or I'm counting somebody making a bad shot. And that started early yesterday, and that was I know we've talked about this team having this problem before, and yesterday felt once again in a lot of ways like a bit of a singularity, a prime example, if you will, of everything that's been wrong with this team for the past couple of years. Um,
Yeah.
so
There was a
that was,
moment like with Bonnie that exemplified that perfectly, where like we were on a bit of a break. Bonnie had dribbled into the box. We had a bit of an advantage, and he kind of just stopped, started kind of dribbling around and looking for a place to shoot. And it went from like just a few guys back there to all of a sudden he had like five guys around him. And by the time he finally decided to do something to try to shoot, there was nowhere to go to shoot because he had waited too long. He couldn't pass it, he couldn't shoot, he couldn't do anything. He had shut off all of his options by just standing there. And that's what Turam does every goddamn time he gets into the box. He does that or he tries these weird like flick on heels that go nowhere. Like just turn like you'll notice and I said this in the chat, like what did PO do that's different than the rest of the guys? He got the ball, he turned around and he ripped it as hard as he could at the net. And that's why Karnaseki was like couldn't save it because he was shocked someone from Inter took the ball and shot it immediately. Because we don't do that.
yeah,
Pio's
he's
the only
definitely,
one. He just did fundamental soccer. He turned around and he hit it as hard as he could at the net, and a good thing happened.
we definitely miss instinctive finishers. I'd say Lotaro's maybe one of the only ones we have. Uh, and it's times like
Yeah.
these, games like these, where we sorely miss him because everyone else, it seems like, is a little too content to just try and play beautifully, take too many passes, try to walk it into the net sometimes. It feels like people are scared to take a risk. And then when they do take a risk, some of the ones that are made confuse me. I've talked before about Thuram's shot selection confusing me. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, Nico Barella he attempted a Trivela shot when he honestly didn't need to do that. I
Oh,
get what he was, it's sometimes it's I don't know. You can tell. I think it's a mentality thing. The players get too in their heads, and sometimes it's easier to just do the instinctive thing and take the shot. And sometimes maybe that works out for us, like it did with Pio Esposito. Um, and fortunately, we didn't have to wait too long for that goal. I know, like I mentioned, there were a couple early opportunities that didn't quite work out. Atalanta came down, had some of their chances too. There was one moment about 10 minutes in where DeMarco had to close something down on the left side. I think his defending's taken a really big step forward this year, along with all
agreed.
of his offensive contributions, of course. Didn't show up on the score sheet yesterday, but you can't knock him too much. He's been one of the guys carrying us for about a month here.
Yeah,
Moving on.
I can't knock any part of his game. Frankly, he used to be a defensive liability, and I can't even tell you how I can't even. I've lost count of how many times I've seen him come clear a ball off the line this year.
Mm.
Like
And
like he's basically become what Danilo D'Ambrosio used to be, but he's actually like good. No, sorry,
Yeah.
D'Ambrosio, you were good, but you were never this good.
Well, on the topic of other liabilities, we have one of the one of the scarier moments early, in addition to a couple of the ones we've talked about so far, and maybe this was foreshadowing for something that was to come. There was a moment where Atalanta came down and Gianluca Scamacca, I believe it was, took a shot at Jan Sommer. And
Yep.
Sommer made the initial save, but wasn't able to hang on to it. He kind of parried it, blocked it into the path of another Atalanta player, and he had to lunge for the ball again. And he was able to keep it away from the player that time, but put it back in danger again, and then had to lunge a third time before we finally like closed it down and he secured the ball.
Yep.
And it's something that
Yeah.
we've seen with Jan Sommer all year. It seems like not only does he do that thing where he stands and watches the ball go by, which he has gotten better about. He does seem slightly more decisive, but it seems like a lot of the saves that he's making now are they're borderline assists for the other team at this point because he saves it off one guy and it rebounds right back to the other team. And I know a ball coming at you with the speed like that, it's easy for us to sit here and say, "Oh, how can you do that?" Like it's harder than it looks. But at the same time, for this caliber of play, you expect him to be a little more consequential because it honestly feels like we have a scarecrow back there at times.
It does, and I mean it's also about his positioning and his hesitancy. Like on the one that he only had three shots yesterday that went at him at his net. The first one was that one you just talked about. He ended up lunging at three times. The second one was the one with Sulemana where Dumfries goes down. Either way, whether Dumfries is there forced or not, that is his ball to go claim. Even if he's not, and Dumfries is getting there, that it is still his responsibility to be there to cut down that angle on Sulemana, which is what Joseph Martinez has done every single time he's been in. I've seen him make that save because what going out does, even if Sulemana gets that ball, he has nowhere to shoot it past you, and you're not giving someone a rebound. It's going out of bounds for a corner kick. Because of where you're positioned, it will not go towards the net because you are blocking the net. He stays planted, stays on the spot, makes a save that should have been an easy save had he come out like he was supposed to, and instead parries it right to Kristovich. Now, is this goal all his fault? No. Like, DeVry, where the hell were you? That's your ball to clear. But also, like, if he had come out, he would not have needed to parry it that way. And if you're going to have to parry it versus trying to catch it, you can't, as a keeper, you can't parry it the way he did. Like the direction was wrong, how hard he parried it was wrong. I know it's a split second thing and we're harping on something that is not easy, but again, he only touched the ball three times that it was shot at him, and all three of them he did a really poor job again. Two of the three he gave them a free shot at another shot, and one of them they took and scored on us. Like I've watched him very closely. I used to play keeper when I played soccer. This is the position I know, and I can tell you he is not doing the basic fundamentals of keeping well at all. He's not being decisive. He's not coming out of his net to close down angles when he's supposed to be. He's constantly backpedaling in fear, which is giving a bigger target and a better angle to the people shooting at him. He has a really, really, really low save percentage. He only stops two out of three shots. So that's why it seems pretty common that we give up one goal, but we only get three shots on net, is because he lets in a lot of really easy shots. Like we sold Philip Stankovic. I know it's Serie B. The kid's faced almost 50 shots more than Jan Sommer and given up three more goals. Like, do the math on that, how crazy that is.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I can't remember him making very many like amazing saves. It's almost like he used the last of his energy and effort in the life of this game to stop Lamine Yamal last year. And as soon as PSG blew him out, he was just like done. But
Yeah.
I just don't understand how Kivu can't, or anyone on the staff can't spot that it's how obviously clear it is that Joseph Martinez gives us a better chance to win because he can actually save some of these shots that are costing us points. Because our defense does not give up many opportunities. Even to Atalanta on an off day, they give up 3 real opportunities, and Summer really turned them into real opportunities for them. Do you think Mike
I know.
Magnon or like Stilar is doing that? No. Or the kid Mata who that played for Lazio today and saved our ass. There's no way. That's why they're still close to us. And that's a big reason that they are still close to us is because our keeper has been so bad.
Mhm. And I know I've
Sorry.
been, no, you're good. Like, I've been stressing the same thing. I've been fighting for Josep Martinez to get more playing time. Maybe not be the permanent 1A starter of every game, but at the very least, play the guy split reps with Jan Sommer. See what he has to offer. Because
Yep.
we still don't really know. He just doesn't. We don't play him. He played
No.
the
He's
Copa
never had
Italia
a
game
run of
against
games.
Como.
Like play
He's
him
never
for
had a
3 or 4 games in a row and see what happens. Like he can't be I don't think he can be worse than this.
Yeah, he
I don't
just
see how.
he hasn't had a fair shot. We don't really know what we have with him still. This is now his what, almost second full season on the roster.
Yep.
I mean, we know he can stop shots. Is his distribution an issue? Yeah, okay, sure, but you could argue at this point that Summers distributing some of his saves to the other team, like we talked about.
Correct.
Um,
And
I
it's
know
not like
Kevin.
he's getting tons of assists or creating huge chances for us. He's really not. All he's doing is not making huge errors at the back with his feet. Like that's not worth keeping him in net.
That's not. And we can talk a little bit more about potential solutions to that a bit later in the show, but that was kind of a scary sign early on, and that
Yeah.
ended up being a bit of a bad omen for later.
Yeah, the subs
Fortunately,
were when we really got scared.
yeah, but fortunately we didn't have to wait too long to get on the score sheet. Nicolo Barella found some end product. It was nice to see him provide a goal contribution. Gave a pretty sweet assist to Pio Esposito, who
Yep.
took the shot. And Carnesecchi for Atalanta did get a piece on it, and the ball still made it in. Honestly, I know we talked about this a bit in the chat yesterday. It seemed a bit like what's been going on with Jan Sommer. That particular save from Carnesecchi where he clips it and it's
Yep.
not really enough to matter, but it was a hell of a
Yeah.
low power. It was hell of a low shot, high power. Uh, Great goal.
Yep.
Great to get him on the score sheet. We had another chance a little bit after that. About 2 minutes later, DeMarco put another shot wide, and we were able to go into the halftime without too many more issues. I know I took note of a few good tackles here by Barella, Bisek, and Akanji across the 35-minute mark. Bisek had a
Yep.
few good runs yesterday, including around the 40-minute mark, and aside from a yellow card for Sucic, that was really most of the excitement for the first half. And I know the
Yep.
yellow card and maybe a poor performance by Sucic yesterday was enough for Kivu to bring Mkhitaryan on in midfield at halftime. Dave, what was your reaction to that move?
I mean, I don't love it, but the way Sucic plays with his slide tackling, I understand it because the risk is that he just keeps playing the way he plays and he gets a red. Of all the players that we have, he's the most likely to do that, in my opinion, just be it by the way he plays. So I kind of get it. And the thought process with Mkhitaryan is he does track back usually pretty well. So I get it. Like he was probably thinking Mickey could maybe open more space for us in the offense with his dribbling too, but I don't think it worked out super well. Although of all of his subs, that was probably the least bad.
And I agree. I think I was okay with Mkhitaryan coming on. I, once again, I need to stress for Travis and for everyone else watching at home, I'm not a Mkhitaryan defender at all. I do think there are certain things he does solidly. I think like you mentioned him tracking back, his defensive work rate, or stuff like that. I am happy to have him on the field in a limited substitute role, like yesterday. I did think we
Yep.
brought him on a little early. I would have given Sucic a little more time, but it is what it is. Second half starts, and right away, I took note of the fact that Atalanta were a whole hell of a lot more aggressive. I noted that they were really dangerous. Um, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it was kind of nice facing a team that's actually not scared to come out and attack us, because we see time and time again teams like Milan know to sit back in a low block and then hit us on a counter, and that doesn't really
Sure.
leave us a whole lot of. It sounds counterintuitive, but it doesn't really leave us a whole lot of space to do anything, because then we side pass and cross all day trying to find somebody to break the low block. Whereas with teams that fan out a little more spread out, it gives us more space to run, to attack, to create, to hit teams in transition. You can
Yep.
watch the highlights for our highlights from this season compared to 2 seasons ago, and the difference in how we play, it's night and day. 2 years ago,
Oh
you can
yeah.
see that we sit back, we get the ball, we surge forward, and we punish teams on the counter, the
Yep.
transition, whatever. And now teams are all too happy to let us have possession, sit back and say, "Okay, beat us. Come beat us. You can't do it. You can't dribble past us. You can't beat 11 guys in the box." The blueprint's out there. And
It is. Then
while
they're
it
not
may,
wrong. For the most part, we
yeah,
can't.
while it is a little more stressful to watch teams attack us like Atalanta can do, it's kind of a nice change of pace that there is a team that's, not willing to do the Allegri style of ball against us. Um,
True, because we are usually really good at soaking up that pressure and not really giving them a chance to even get the ball to Summer, which I think is some of why I think our defense gets out of place a little bit. Is I think they've lost confidence in Summer, and I think some of our defenders are now starting to go into heroics mode, which pulls them out of position a little bit because they feel like they have to do too much because if the ball gets on net, they're worried it's going in.
yeah. I do have to give some of our defenders props for some moments early in the second half, though. I did make a few notes that Carlos and Bisek both had several great runs forward. Um, Carlos especially, I know there was he stole the ball and went on a Maicon-esque run there. That was really cool to see. I also took note of Dumfries. There was a certain play where he was able to win a goal kick out of something that looked like a sure corner, and there's no way somebody like Luis Enrique could have pulled that off. There's no way he has the composure, the experience, the to make that to come out with an advantage
No.
in that situation. It's like I mentioned earlier, Dumfries just offers so much more reassurance in the role. So it's really great having him back there. And
That
then
we're
things
gonna
started getting a little frustrating in the rest of the half. Taram and Dumfries each had a pair of misses. I know Taram, he had a one-on-one with the keeper
Sure.
and he shot it directly at Karnaseki. And I noted here again, it's like there's no instinctive finishers like Lautaro. And as much as we get on Lautaro for being a streaky player who, if you give him more time to think, he fluffs it. In those split second moments, he seems like the one guy we have who just knows where to put the ball.
Yep.
And it's something like that where we just were sorely missing him. I did think overall Taram seemed a little more lively than he's been in some of the past few games, but again, what good did that do? There was no end product, and I felt like you and I
Yeah.
both were a bit confused by the decision a little bit later to bring Bonnie on for Pio Esposito instead of Marcus Thuram. I know
Yep.
the Mkhitaryan sub we can justify a little bit, but that one, I thought it was unusual, but I was willing to give it a chance. But I don't think that
I
paid off at
wasn't.
all.
We lost our only target man up top who was holding up play.
Yeah,
Durham can't do that. It was our relief valve for the defense from when we get stuck in the back. He's our like Laturo and him are the only two guys we have that can hold long balls and hold up play. Bonnie isn't doing that, and Turam isn't doing that. Also, Turam was doing absolutely nothing going forward. You took off the only guy that could actually shoot the ball on the net was being your holdup and your relief valve for your defense. Like I'm all for Bonnie coming on, but he would have been the link between that. It would have made way more sense. And then you take DeMarco off, who is really good on both sides of the ball, our offense, our motor, and we have 8 days off before our next match. It's not like we have Champions League next week. You guys already blew that. So like, why are you taking him off to rest him for this last crucial 30 minutes in the Scudetto race? There's no reason for it, especially for Luis Henrique. Like, you literally killed the game. He killed the game as soon as it happened. Like, it was all Atalanta from that moment when those two came off. And then as soon as he took Barella off and put on Forteze, Atalanta was having a field day with us.
Yeah, that was something I was about to get into. The Luis Enrique for DeMarco move I wasn't thrilled with. Uh, Now, again, we don't know everyone's fitness state as well as somebody like Kivu or the players would. I know I did read something explaining the last sub that we made. Uh, Stefan De Vrij came on for Manuel Akanji. I did read that there was Akanji had felt something, and that was the reason for that sub. So that one I can excuse a little. Maybe DeMarco coming off. Hopefully, it's not that he was like cramping or anything. Um, I did, for what it's worth, I did think Luis Enrique put in a decent shift at left wing back, better than he seems to have been doing on the right in the past few weeks, to be honest. But obviously,
Maybe. I mean,
it's
I can't fault him for the goal, really. I can fault Stefan De Vrij quite a bit, though. He was not even on for 2 minutes before he was nowhere to be found on that. I don't know what Dumfries was doing, why he decided to go down. Just kick the ball out of bounds, you little B. Like, you know the scenario there. Just kick the ball out of bounds. Like, why are you doing, like, especially after the stuff with what happened with Bastoni, you really think refs are going to give Inter players the benefit of the doubt for going down? Like, kick the ball out of bounds. It is what you're taught. You're not taught to go down. If you kick the ball out of bounds, can they kick it in the net? I don't know. What do you think, Vince?
I don't know. It's to me it felt like another late game mental lapse that we've been dealing with for the past few years. Just something happens in the last 15 to 20 minutes of games where I
Yeah.
don't know, we think the game is locked up, we get complacent, we get lazy, we get overconfident, and we've talked about how even Mkhitaryan came out in an interview and had mentioned that the players have this hubris that everything's going to work out sometimes, but the fact
Uh,
is I don't know. I can't understand this team's mentality sometimes, and this is where it's uh,
Drives me nuts.
it seems like simultaneously we are anxious as hell, and we're either anxious or we're overconfident. There's no in between. Where 1 minute we think we can run over teams and everyone will
I don't
just
know what we
bend
are.
over to our will. We can impose our status on the entirety of the game, and then the next it feels like we check out. And that's not something that true champion teams do. That's you look at 2 years ago.
No.
2 years ago, we were steamrolling teams. And,
Yeah.
looking at our competition from 2 years ago, the rest of Serie A, we got pretty lucky in that we had Pioli running Milan, who then, after a detour in Saudi Arabia, I believe, went to Fiorentina and left them on the brink of relegation. So a Milan team that, by the way, we won 5-1 earlier that season. And Juventus, Allegri's Juventus, were keeping pace with us that season. They were up until January when Milik picked up a red card in the Empoli game, and then from there the bottom just fell out completely. But despite the fact that our competition had pretty much fallen apart by January, we kept our foot on the gas. Champions League didn't
Yeah.
work out for us, and neither did the Copa. But as far as that Scudetto run went, we were ruthless. We were running teams over.
Yeah. Yep.
And last year, the season got off on a weird foot with me because I had a bad feeling after we drew that opener in Genoa. And we saw time and time again, not only were we incapable of winning any big games, um, which is a problem we still have now under Kivu. We had that problem last year with Inzaghi, but we would just time and time again lose focus against these small teams and let in late goals and lose 2 points
Yeah.
here, 3 points there. And
Yeah.
to give Kivu some credit, I do think we have done better about picking up those gimme points this season. You know,
Yep. We
looking
had,
at our results. There's a lot. The early loss to Napoli, Juventus, Milan. We've lost 5 times. That's three right there. The other
yep.
two losses, there's the other Milan derby, and
Yep.
then there was that random one-off game to Udinese, which again we blew. We were up 1-0 and we let them
Well, in the
score
Milan
2-1.
Derby, we also got a little screwed on too. So
We did, and I know also the second derby I'm going to be a little more forgiving about as well because I know we were missing multiple starters. I know we've talked about
yeah.
Thuram's form not being great, but no Lautaro, no Çalhanoğlu, Dumfries wasn't starting. I'm going to be a little more forgiving about that game in particular, but the fact is we've been pretty clinical in picking up the points that we're supposed to. Really, the only head scratchers were that Udinese game early. I think that was the second or third game,
Yep.
and the game yesterday, which we could have and should have won. Like we had, I counted it. We had at least 6 or 7 chances where I'm begging somebody to shoot the ball or take a shot that's not directly at the keeper. And even
Yeah.
last week we saw the Mkhitaryan shooting directly at the keeper. And 78 minutes in, still in the second half, before Atalanta even get on the score sheet, before any refereeing controversy, Bonnie seems to have what looks like a clear shot on goal and doesn't take it. And
Yeah. I
I'm
don't
not
know what it
sure.
was thinking. I don't know
Yeah,
what the hell that was.
but
I don't know.
it's moments like those where it, we start getting that bad feeling that we're gonna go that it's gonna be the same interscript that we see time and time again that we saw all last year under Inzaghi. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Where's that
I
second
even
goal?
called it as soon as we made those subs on our group chat. I was like, "Uh oh,
Yeah.
this feels familiar. This is we're not going to get out of here without dropping points."
And the Fortesi one especially was where I started to lose that confidence, which you guys know me. I have kind of been for the longest time, I was what felt like the last Fortesi defender, specifically because he always finds a way to score when we need somebody to. But that's
Right?
dried up this season. That doesn't happen
Yeah,
anymore.
that's gone. That's
And
fully gone at this point.
and as somebody who I called Marcus Thuram a passenger earlier in this show, Fortesi's even more so of one now. What was it last week? Travis said he took like 2 touches in how long or something. There was
Wouldn't you have to actually make passes to be a passenger? Sorry for my dad joke.
yeah,
I have
he's
two
not
little
even
kids
making
at home.
oh good. He should have had one contribution yesterday. We'll get into what that was in just a minute, but we started
Yeah.
the game script looked all too much like what we've come to expect from Inter over the past couple of years, where we go ahead, we aren't really clinical in front of net, we fail to put things away, and then the other team gets back in and scores, and that's exactly what happened 83 minutes in. Uh, Dumfries gets caught out, goes down. Uh, There's some controversy. Most of the post show seemed to focus on whether or not that was a dive or should have been a foul. Dave, take me through what you thought about that. Did you think it was a foul or did he just go over too easy?
Um, that's a good question, man. I don't think he should have gone over in that instance. I do think it was a foul. And knowing what we know about where Inter's position and how likely we are to get a call, just kick it out of bounds, man. You got there first. You could have get to the ball. Just kick it out of bounds.
Which, of course, he does not do. And credit to Summer. He made the initial save. But, of course, rebound comes in. And with 6 minutes left to go in regulation, we find ourselves tied. And there was another moment shortly after that where Frattesi gets involved, and it looked for all the world like he should have won a penalty kick. And
Oh, he should have.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it
that's. I
just
mean,
wasn't.
that's a penalty every other time that instance has ever happened, including last year when it cost us points. 2 years ago when it happened to Juventus. Um, it is every time. Like he tried to kick the ball was not there. Instead, it was Scalvini. He kicked Scalvini and then went down. So like having a hard time understanding how VAR didn't even want the ref to go look at that. That seems really silly to me.
No, it makes a little more sense when you realize that it was Keefe in the VAR room.
Yeah, and I
which,
can't remember the other guy, but they're both Milan fans, so it's
yeah. And it's easy to it is easy to sit here and blame the officiating, which I don't generally like to do, but this whole
same.
season it's been beyond the pale this season since at least October. And I know other teams have their
Yeah,
complaints too and say, "Oh, Marotta League," but let's go back to the phantom penalty awarded was it when Mkhitaryan took out Di Lorenzo in October against
yeah,
Napoli,
for
and that
real.
led to that game getting away from us.
Yep.
There's yeah, the missed handball from Ricci last week in the
Yep.
derby. You can't tell me that that was a natural position or that his arm was moving away from the ball. I don't buy that for
It
a minute.
wasn't. It's been called so many times on Bissick, so many times on Dumfries, so many times on everyone. His elbow was out and it hit him in the elbow. Like that is a
Yeah,
handball.
and there's
It
things like
was.
that,
It
or
has been for everybody. Like Dumfries has been called on that how many times? Bissick. We joke about Bissick being Mister Handball. Like if he could keep his hands to himself, he'd be great. But it, I just don't. I don't get it. Why they overlook certain things. And there's been what 2, 3 instances now that have cost us like 6 to 7 points in the league now, which we put ourselves in that position, allowing the refs to be able to do that to us. But it still shouldn't be happening in the age of VAR when they could review it, and it's not that hard for the ref to look. To not even call them over is crazy.
right? And it says there's instances all year long where it would be one thing if we were just like talking about the bad refereeing in one game, but it seems like there are so many pivotal moments that go against us. Or
Yeah,
there's another one I just thought of. The second Napoli game. Juan Jesus, how was he not sent off?
yeah,
Or
he
was
should
it
have been sent
was it
off.
the first Napoli game where one player got the yellow card and then it looked like a second yellow and we were told, "Oh no, the first yellow had been for somebody else."
Yeah, that one too. And
Stuff
then
like
wasn't
that.
there another? I mean, we can go on and on, but the only one that I can remember we got benefit from was the Kalulu red card, which they couldn't even have reviewed or changed if they tried. So, like,
Right.
th- that's the only one
And
that
yet
I
we're
know of that
still
really helped us.
and it's incredibly frustrating for me to I don't know. It seems like all of Italy is now painted as Alessandro Bastoni as the villain, as
Yeah.
the national villain over the whole thing. They're still booing him wherever he goes every time he plays. Can we stop? Seriously, it's just childish. Where was this for Chiellini? Where was this for Quadrado? And now you're telling me this is the straw that broke the camel's back. This is the one that's too far for everybody.
Yo, or
Please
Cristiano
stop.
Ronaldo, who did it every damn game he was ever in. Anytime he was in the box, he would flop for a penalty or to try to get someone sent off. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like
What
that
makes
is
Bastoni the what makes that worse than any of the other things that have happened? Especially
like
because he's not even a repeat offender.
no, he's not. Diego Simeone was celebrated as a national hero in Argentina for flopping when Beckham kicked out at him in the World Cup. Do you remember that? For being smart enough to go down just because he kicked out at him and they got a straight red for it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just called being smart. Like, don't reach out and touch your opponent when you're already on a yellow, you dumb dumb.
Yeah, and I I don't know. It's interesting that we can pull together a whole laundry list of incidents this whole year. We haven't even talked about all of them. We've only talked about
No.
the ones in Serie A. We haven't even talked about the ones in Champions League.
So yeah, the
Um,
one probably ended up not even in the round of 16 because of BS penalties against us, like
which
Liverpool's.
and going back to what I had said a minute ago, I hate to blame the refs, but that was pretty bad. And there's a moment that we could have spared ourselves the trouble at the Wanda. We fell asleep
Yeah,
in the last 5 minutes and we let them score an equalizer on a corner. Or no, I'm sorry, that was a
yeah,
go-ahead goal. It was the
it was a
we were
bad.
already yeah, we were already it was already going to be a draw. And then we give it away. We couldn't even get a point. And that 1 point would have saved us. Time and time again, this team, yeah, we get hosed by the officiating and this year especially it seems really bad and I think it's laughable that other teams can try and dogpile on Bastoni when we get hosed left and right. But at the same time, we leave so many points out there. We don't score opportunities that we should. We overcomplicate things. We fall asleep late in games. We
We waste chances like it's our job. We've created so many chances. It's insane. I know we've
it's
scored a lot of goals in Serie A, but could you imagine if we had the finishing capabilities of the team of the guys on Bayern Munich, how many goals we would score? We'd have like 85 or 90 goals, don't you think?
yeah, stick Icardi back in this team. Not seriously. But
No, I don't want
if you
Blonde
put
back in the picture, but
no, if we put Icardi in a front two on this team, there's no way this guy's not pulling 30, 40 goals a year, even right now. And
yeah,
no, not that
but
Lautaro still
um,
probably will be the capo canoniere, but I think you look at the goal scoring numbers from the forwards around Serie A, and the fact is it's kind of a down year. And a lot of our goals are coming from other places too, which it's cool to see, but and then you
yeah,
bring it back to Marcus Thuram. He's just not scoring anymore. Um, he's been like Marcus Thuram. Like Bonnie's one thing. Bonnie's young. He just got here. He's still working things out. But Marcus
and
Thuram
he
has been
barely scored.
surpassed by a guy who can't even legally drink in the United States.
Yeah,
How is Pio Esposito, a guy who was in Serie B last year? How is he our second best forward right now? Right now, he's our best forward because Lautaro is not even available, and
yeah. I mean, he
it's a
looks it too.
lot. Yeah, and it's a lot to put on a kid's shoulders because you look at the rest of the
Yes.
team, and let's talk again about the mentality. Time and time again, we can talk about that. Who's really stepping up and like dragging this team forward right now when it's not Lautaro? Lautaro, we know will always do that. But
Pio is
look at the roster
trying,
right now.
but
Who
they're
who
not going to listen to a 20-year-old kid. That's the problem. He can scream
yeah,
all he wants, but they're not going to listen to him. He hasn't
there's
earned it from them
PO
yet.
and it's been
I'd say Dima leads by example. I haven't seen him like screaming at people yet, but
yeah,
those are the
he's
only two that I know like bleed this jersey and give their all always that I can see it on the field. I'd say Zelensky does, but I don't know how well they lead the rest of the team to do that like Latero does.
right. And
But
Akanji's been a great pickup too with a couple slip ups in the last couple of weeks after maybe he got concussed in the Bodo game. I don't know. But he looked a bit more
I
himself
think
yesterday. But by and large, there's so many players that are just they're either physically cooked. I mean, we had what was it in the Dortmund game? I think the commentary had said we had four starting players who were 37 or 38.
that
There's
sounds
players
about
who
right.
just there's players who are just old who it's not it's time to go. The years have caught
Yep.
up to them. They wouldn't be playing in pretty much any other club really. There's players we have
Not
just
at the
been
level of club we're at. No, not our level
no,
of club.
or there are players like Barella or Thuram who seem like they've regressed from their physical peaks. Um, and it's like what you were saying earlier. There's just this you can see it that there doesn't seem to be as much joy among the pillars of this team. They don't seem to be enjoying it like they used to. And
Yeah,
you can see there's a lot of players who are missing time injured too right now. The Chalanolu constantly in and out of the lineup. As much as we've leaned on him, I can't say I'm too surprised, but it's like I don't know. It's yesterday felt like a culmination of so many of the problems we've seen for the over the last year, and it seems like they really haven't improved. I know,
no,
and this is where we can maybe talk a little bit about Kivu and the role of the coach versus the players, and we can even get into management's role in all this. When we brought in Kivu, I was a defender of his, and I'd say I still am. I think he's the right guy to lead the project, and I think he deserves, barring something unexpected, he deserves at least another shot at it, a second year. We can go from there. We can see what happens, but yesterday was the closest to Inzaghi I think he's ever been in terms of making the same mistakes, making
yep.
some subs that weren't the best. Again, I can forgive the Akanji one a little bit, knowing what we know now. But Dave, take me into your thoughts on Kivu after yesterday.
Um, I mean, I was a big fan of him, just knowing his backstory, like how tough he was, some of the stories about him and how he handled Ibrahimovic in that squad, and the ego coming back from breaking his entire face and his orbital socket from a pretty horrific traumatic injury, and then winning the treble that same season with Inter. I and seeing the results early on this season, where there were a number of times where we went down early on in matches. I can think of one. I can't remember who it was. We were down 2-0. We ended up winning 5-2. Like that would never have happened under Inzaghi. So like for a long time, I thought we had fixed that. Where like we finally got that mentality of like never quit, never die. Like we're always gonna fight. Spirit that I thought Kivu was instilling in these guys. But now that we have like big things on the line, like Champions League, and now that it's real again, it's like they've regressed back to those same exact anxiety-ridden, hapless players that they were under Inzaghi, and I don't know why or why Kivu has been unable to get them back to that level. I don't know if it's like not having Laturo there right now. Maybe with Laturo back, that will change again. But it feels like since, and I don't know if you feel like it was before Bodo or if it's only been since Bodo. I think it's for me, it's mostly been since Bodo, the first round against Bodo, maybe. Well, maybe even a little bit again of the matches. I guess it's always big matches, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
it's that attitude of like they're just so. I think after PSG and the shellacking, they're just so afraid of that happening again that they're so. It's almost like they're playing the prevent defense in football, like where they're just trying not to lose, not going out there to win and have fun. And
Yeah.
when you do that, you're never going to put yourself in a position to win. So I think honestly right now it feels like that has spread into Kivu. Until I see that leave him and the team again, I'm gonna have some concerns. Do I think he might still be the right person long term for the project? Definitely. Like he's obviously really good at training up young guys, and that's clearly what we need to do to be competitive because we can't financially go out and buy like Nico Paz and a bunch of $40 million guys. Like that's why the rumors of us looking at Vicario for keepers seem like really stupid business to me. Like that's just not the way we can operate anymore. We can't do that. Like people thinking like going back to when we bought like Lukaku and Hakimi and stuff, like we took on debt to do that ultimately. Like we're still paying that off. Like we can't do that. We have to be smart and find good players cheap. So I think we need a coach that is capable of that. He knows them. It's clear he knows how to spot talent and bring them up. So I do want to give him more time, but I am getting a little worried now. It's hard not to. I mean, Milan sure helped us today, and so did Lazio. They played some great defense, and their keeper Mata today was tremendous. They played some really good defense. Lazio actually has, I think, 13 clean sheets now this year. I didn't know that. I didn't know their defense was that good. That's a lot of clean
Yeah.
sheets.
I haven't really followed them as much myself either, really.
I think they're
Um,
second in the league in clean sheets, which is impressive.
hmm, it could be worth a look then. I know there was a name you threw out, Vicario, who I don't know. I kind of agree with you that I don't think he's the move. I mean, for starters, we're picking up a keeper on the cusp of relegation. Doesn't sound
Yeah,
like a great idea even on paper, even if you told me it was possible.
his
Um,
stats were horrible, like horrible this year too, worse than Summers, which is saying something because Summers are awful, and I mean like
yeah,
bottom of the barrel in Serie A awful. The only thing he excels at is clean sheets, and that's only because we have many games this season where he's faced one or two shots and they were not hard to save shots.
and that's something that actually goes back a couple years. Even if you look at the year of the Seconda Stella, how many games is it where you could go back and if you watch them again, Jan Sommer could have gone out there with a lawn chair and a drink and not had to do anything all game. And he probably could have stayed out of net and we would have been fine.
Yep.
And when he was called on, he made some great saves, some great reactions. I know one of the things that got my attention early was that first leg of the Real Sociedad tie. There was a split second save. He had fractions of a second to act, and he prevented us from going down 2-0. And eventually Lautaro rescues us and gives us a goal to secure the draw. But you can just see the eye test, not just the stats, but the eye test too. From 2 years ago, moments like those. Last year, okay, still did great too, and put in the performance of a lifetime, like you said, to stop Lamine Yamal. I don't know what deal he made with the devil or the aliens who stole the talent from Space Jam or whatever,
right?
but he's just been not the same since. And I was, the PSG game,
I, well,
obviously, maybe there's some trauma from that, some PTSD from that. But the first game after that, uh, the Club World Cup, you could just tell something wasn't right. And I was there in person at the game which we lost to Fluminense. Travis and I both were there. And yeah, you could tell he just wasn't the same, and he just hasn't recovered. And I
he
know,
still hasn't.
yeah, and there's Travis is right when he says that there's other things going on, but at the end of the day, Jan Sommer is one of the things definitely holding this team back right now. And we've
Yeah,
said it all year
like
long. I don't know. There's a bunch of moves we're going to have to make this summer. I don't think it's any secret that that's going to be a huge market overhaul. Frankly, we're lucky we got away with the kicking the can down the road a bit. I was fully expecting that there was going to be a very different looking team for this season, and
same.
somehow we were able to keep most of the pieces together. I don't know whether that's by intention or
Yeah.
by accident, but goalie, yeah, keeper is one of the first things we're gonna have to look at this summer, I think. I know we threw the name Vicario out there as an option. Are there any guys you were thinking of? I know before the show you had mentioned Paul Masani. Is he the guy you want, or do you have any other names you might want?
I mean, just watching the eye test, age wise, I mean, he's 21. He's in Serie B right now, but he has been an absolute nightmare to deal with. His save percentage is extremely high. If you watch highlights of him, he is making some spectacular and amazing saves. He's really good with his feet. He doesn't really have any holes in his game, and he's been the man of the match a lot of times. He has a really, really high rating, and there's a reason for that. He's also been peppered with shots and saved the majority of them. Another one that I would like to bring back is Philip Stankovic. I wish we had not gotten rid of him. He has been absolutely phenomenal for Venezia this year in Serie B as well. He's been probably the second best keeper. One of the reasons I also really like him is not only is he been really good as a keeper, he's an extremely good distributor of the ball. As a keeper, he's over an 80% passer, including long range, which is pretty darn impressive. He's one of in the top tier in all of keeping in terms of passing. He's also been peppered with shots. I believe I did the math before here. He's faced something like 45 or 50 more shots than Summer this season and only given up three more goals than Summer has. Which, when you say that out loud, makes it sound pretty insane about how bad Summer really has been. That's a lot more shots to face to only give up three more goals. Summer is only saving about two out of three. Um, Both Palmasani and Stankovic are saving 80 to 85% of their shots. The other one that gets mentioned a lot is Cagliari's keeper Caprile. He would probably be 20 to 25 million. He might be worth it. He's a little older. Um, he's not having as quite of a standout season. I understand that is also Serie A, and Cagliari has faced a boatload of shots as well. I think any of those would be great. I think financially it might make more sense to bring someone like Stankovic back and kind of rotate him and Joseph and see what you got.
Mm.
You'd only have to do that for 6 months, and then maybe you could go after somebody in January if neither of them work. I understand they might be nervous doing that because they've always had like this veteran keeper that comes from somewhere, but spending 30 million on a 29-year-old in Vicario who had one good season in Serie A and has been absolute garbage since he went to the Premier League is just terrible business. He's not that good. He didn't even get good until his late 20s. That is not the keeper you want to hang your hat on. It's just not. I would
No.
much rather go after a cheap guy that's 21 that could become the next Donnarumma in a few years, that's actually having a crazy good season, or someone like Stankovic who wants to come back to Inter, loves Inter, wants to be here, and clearly has the skill set to do so. If we want to play off the back, he's perfect for it, and he can make the saves. So I would be really happy to bring either one of those back and see where we're at. Like if we have to go after someone else, that's fine. We can do that later. Like there will be someone like some veteran that gets kicked out of his team or something that we could find, or a Bosman or something. But
Well, it's
if we're
ended
gonna
up
have to go young and rebuild, I think keeper is the one place you don't look for a really expensive veteran, in my opinion.
well, that's how we ended up with Jan Sommer, cheap stopgap veteran option who probably has overstayed his welcome for, we thought it would be a
Yeah.
year or two to replace Onana, and he did well for 2 years, and the bottom's just fallen out this year, and yeah, it's time to move on.
At some point, we
Um,
got to take a chance, like Roma did on like Svilar. You got to take a chance on some guy that you know can be the future, and actually give them the chance. That's what we have not done. We
yeah,
just keep giving these old guys it and never giving the young guy the chance. Like, just bring Stankovic back or bring Palmasani in. Give him a shot. If they're not the guy, then solve it in January. Either way, they're gonna be better than Summer is right now. There's no
yeah,
way, in my opinion, that that's not possible because they're doing the basics right, and that's not what Summer is doing.
and even Joseph
I just,
Martinez is doing the basics, and I still don't know why we're not playing him. I don't.
I don't either. He
You got to
looked
tell
the
me.
eye test. He looked great to me.
Yeah, there's got to you got to it's got to be something in practice. I don't know. There's something the coaching staff must be seeing that we're not, because
I
I
think it
can't think of
might have
anything else.
something to do with like that accident where he accidentally killed that 81-year-old. Like maybe they're just worried about his mentality and like putting too much on him. It's the only thing I can come up with because when he gets on the field and he plays, he's really good at making saves.
Yeah, when he's played, I mean, as tragic as that was, when he has played since then, if it's affecting him, he hasn't really shown it,
Mm.
but maybe there's
So
something we're not seeing. I personally, I would have loved to spend the season seeing if he could be the guy going forward. If we can save some money knowing the goalkeeping solution is already in house, that would have been that would have been fantastic. But maybe
yeah,
we've decided maybe we'll keep him around. Maybe he can rotate with somebody that we bring in. Maybe he can still be the guy. I hope he can. Um, Personally, I would.
Palmasani or Stankovic would allow for that because neither of them is going to cost a ton, no more than 10 to 15. They
Oh,
wouldn't be very expensive guys.
yeah, I'd sign up for Filip Stankovic in a heartbeat. I know when Venezia was in Serie A last year, he put in some pretty great showings against us specifically. I don't watch a whole lot
He's
of
better.
Venezia, but those performances stood out to me.
He's won
Um,
man of the match 7 times for them this year.
Jeez, I didn't realize that.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of man of the match. That means you're showing out in keeper. Like him and Palmasani are the two that have most man of the matches, and they
How
have
many
really high rankings for the year in terms of stats and like their overall ranking per match.
how many kids does Stankovic have, Decky?
Two, I think, that
Two,
play.
three? Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
some
two that play. I think he has a daughter too, if I remember right.
okay. I don't know. Maybe we can maybe we can ask him if he's got any more he wants to tell us about,
Yeah, for
because it
real.
sounds like I would take Alexander's done great work over in Bruges. Obviously, I think we all agree that we got to bring him back in the door to help at midfield. It's looking like,
We have we
yeah,
have to.
I
No one else.
we talked about midfield before too. Like we're staring down the barrel of a serious change in our midfield again.
Yeah,
Barella used to be our sure thing in midfield. He doesn't really look like that now. Zelinski's the wrong side of 30. Mkhitaryan
but I still
is
think we should
nearly
use.
40. Go ahead.
If we can bring in Stankovic and use the rest of them, maybe on someone like Kone, I think that solves a lot of our midfield issues right
Yeah.
there. Like, and then we could get rid of Diouf and Forteze right away.
Mhm. I
Brella wouldn't have so much on him. He could play a more forward role. Wouldn't have to track back as much because Kone would handle a lot of that. stuff. We could
Mhm.
switch to the 3-4-2-1 with the double pivot finally and actually have some tactical flexibility. Um, yeah, I think that would give us a lot more ability to rotate more effectively, play different formations, break down blocks, a lot of things.
Mhm. I'd even be okay keeping Doof because I think well, we've seen that he's willing to dribble, take on his man a little bit. We know he can play in
Yep.
the midfield. That's where he starts out. We've tried him in that 3-4-2-1 against Como in the first leg of the Coppa Italia semifinal, which didn't really work out there. But we know he can
I
play on
think
the right
that's
wing
best for
too.
Tetsu there. We need somebody else better behind the striker.
Yeah,
Like it
Cortese's
should
like
have been
that's
Bonnie and Diouf behind Pio would have been good.
yeah.
I would have rather seen that.
Well, maybe we can
But
hopefully
I
experiment with that later. But
I think we just got to focus less on like these big star names that have had one proven season in Serie A and start going more for the guys that are about to explode on Serie A and focus on them. Because we've had some pretty good luck with guys like that with Bissek and a few others lately. So like
mhm.
that's a
Bisek and
much better
Carlos.
strat. Like you can miss more often that way,
Hmm.
and
I
still
do
end up
think
with a really good team.
yeah, and I do think Bisek and Carlos both have been solid pickups. Great, kind of like a 12th and a 13th man to have on the team. I know we were talking about last time you and I were on together. We were talking about guys who maybe we could sell to get some spending money. I know for Tazy's one we talked about. We threw the names Taram and Barella around. Maybe Taram would be a better one, and Barella would be too reactionary. But I don't know. Carlos is starting to give me some assurance, and I know there's some noise about Bastoni maybe wanting to go to Barcelona. I don't know if that's something that
Barcelona could
uh,
never afford 70 or 80 for us, but Liverpool want him. So do Arsenal. A bunch of. I mean, if he wants to go for 80, and with what I saw from Carlos today, it would be fine. Carlos was all over the place, going forward
mhm,
and back. It did not seem like we missed Bastoni once.
yeah. I mean,
Carlos was
I'd
the
hate
best
to
player
lose
on the
him.
team.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate
I
to lose
would
him for
too,
sure,
but
but
like if
that's
I
I
don't
don't
think the effect on our team would be as profound as it used to be because he's just not the same player right now.
right. I know as far as
I just
Carlos
don't
goes,
think
go ahead.
he's yeah, I just don't think Bastoni's the same player anymore. Carlos is the same age as Bastoni too, so like
Hmm.
and he
Super
wants
too,
more
he's
money and
asking
a
for more money.
more regular starting role, and I think he's a lot better at center back than he is at wing back. Frankly, I think
Yeah,
he's a lot better left center back than he is a wing back.
I agree, and it's nice that it's nice having I don't want to say he's in his prime necessarily, but it's nice having a Darmian on the left side. You know, Darmian, we could play all over that right side. Darmian, of
Yeah,
course, being another one we're gonna lose this summer, but um,
true.
yeah, we're up for
It's
a
gonna
lot
be
of
an interesting one.
change this summer. We'll see how it goes, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We still got 9 more games, I believe. One, two, three, four, five,
Oh
six,
man, I probably gotta start doing bedtime soon. I can't believe it's already 7.
yeah, I've got 8. We're almost done here. So I've got 10 more games here, 9 league, 1 Copa.
Yeah,
The next one is at
hopefully
Fiorentina, March
11.
20.
Hopefully
Yeah,
11 if
hopefully
we win
11 with
our
the final.
Copa.
Yeah, let's not count chickens just yet. Inzaghi tried doing that last year, and look how that ended up for
That's
everybody.
what I did. I did the double finger cross for sure. Come on, Lothar. Give us the Mateus look
Yeah. So
or
the
the
next
Baggio.
one, yeah. So we've got looking at our schedule, Milan's schedule, and Napoli's schedule. Like you mentioned, Milan or Lazio rather gave us some help today. I don't think many of us were expecting Lazio to win that game. I thought a draw was possible, but in
So
spite of everything that went wrong for us Saturday, and as disappointed and frustrated as we all were as fans, it was kind of nice to come out of this weekend gaining a point back on Milan. Looking
Yeah,
ahead at the
don't shock me.
schedules, and I think actually I took note of some of Napoli's games too because they're now only 1 point behind Milan, so potentially they could start. I mean, I don't want to say start getting back in the mix, being 9 points down with only 9 games to go, but they're close
It
enough to
would
Milan
take
that
a
we could see the closest competitor in our rear view could possibly change here in the next couple of weeks. That's very possible. So
it's
looking at
possible.
the next week's matches, we go to Fiorentina, Milan hosts Torino, and Napoli hosts Cagliari. Um,
We have the hardest match on paper.
yeah, be the only away game and against a team that's trying to stay up. But
Yep.
at the same time, I think all three of those teams should win. Like Milan, and Napoli should all probably win those games.
Should,
Um,
yep.
yeah,
Especially
and
if
we
Lautaro is back, that will help a lot. And we're gonna be pissed and fired up, so hopefully that helps. God, we
I hope,
better be after this week. If
yeah,
that
I'm
doesn't piss and
curious.
fire you up, I mean, if you aren't piss and vinegar after that game, I don't know how you can put on that jersey anymore.
Yeah,
Frankly,
yeah. So we'll go from there. I think having Lautaro back would be huge. I think Fiorentina would be. They said about a month, and Fiorentina would be about a month later.
yep.
So I
I
think
saw
you
an
got to
article. I
be.
think that he was targeting that, so we'll see. And now, am I correct that Napoli and Milan play each other one more time?
That's right, actually. So after the slate of games on March 22nd, we've got. Uh, well, ours is March 22nd. I think both Milan and Napoli play earlier. We've got an international break, so if Lautaro's not back, that'll hopefully give him another week to rest up, figure out everything, and hopefully that'll
So,
give some of our other guys a chance to catch their breath, and hopefully nothing.
so he'll be
Uh,
back for Como in the league then for sure. That'd be good.
yeah, there's actually one more set of games before Como. So April 5th
Oh,
is
it's
our
Roma.
first game after the break. We host Roma. Um, and the
Okay.
same match weekend actually, Milan go to Napoli. So
Nice.
presumably, ideally, they can take points off each other there. Then we
That
go
nice.
to Como, which I know
That,
last time we saw them, they looked the better side. We still came home with the favorable result. That of course being
yep.
the Coppa Italia game we talked about.
Yep.
Same slate of matches. Milan have Udinese, Napoli go to Parma. If I
Those are not
no,
easy matches for anybody, actually.
yeah, and then we have
Parma and
Cagliari,
Udinese like to spoil stuff.
right? And then we have Cagliari.
But
Uh, after the Como, we have Cagliari. Milan still have Juventus. Napoli have Lazio. Uh,
nice.
then we have the Coppa Italia, the second leg of the semifinal. We go to
Uh,
Torino, and then that takes us into May. We have Parma at Lazio, Verona, and then Bologna. Milan for the rest of their trouble, or for the rest of their schedule. Juventus will probably give them some trouble. They've got Sassuolo in there. That you never know. They like to play the spoiler too. Atalanta on there
tough lineup.
could probably
Or,
take some points off them. At Genoa too. Like on, I don't want to say that our schedule is easy. On paper, there are a lot of games we should win here, and I think right now it's of the 9 league games. We would need to win. I think we would need to win 6 or 7 of them, depending on if we lose or draw the others. And I think that's doable. But Milan's
if
schedule
we win
does seem
six and don't draw anything, it's already over.
okay. Because I know you figure Milan's going to drop points somewhere along the way too. I wasn't expecting them to come away with nothing today. I thought they would get 1 point at least, but
Same.
at Napoli, Juventus, Sassuolo, there's at least 5 games here I'm counting where I would not be surprised if they lost points.
Yeah, because they have what? Napoli, Juventus, Atalanta, Udinese, Sassuolo. Those are all
Yeah,
tough games.
and you figure they'll win plenty too. I know Allegri's got a trick or two up his sleeve. Um,
Yeah.
but as far as Napoli goes, their schedule, I think you and I talked about this earlier, like in the chat. Their schedule is easier. It's Cagliari, AC Milan, at Parma, Lazio, Cremonese, at Como, Bologna, at Pisa, Udinese. And I know Napoli's starting to get healthy. Conte only has one game a week now.
Yeah.
There's a really solid chance that they could overtake AC Milan here.
I mean, to have a realistic chance at actually getting a Scudetto, one of those teams is going to practically have to win out. Just looking at the slate of games we have and the point differential.
And I honestly think there's a better case for Napoli to do that. Not
Yeah,
that
I would
they
agree.
can
Look,
go as far to win the Scudetto, but at the very least, I do think Napoli can take second place here. And of
I
course,
do.
we
I
have to
think
take care of business.
we have to take care of business, but I mean, it is reassuring that even though we played like poop today and or yesterday, and we had the ref garbage, we still did get a point out of a really tough opponent. So,
Mhm.
um, and we still are not giving up many chances at the back. So, like, I do think we are still in good shape, especially after surprisingly going from thinking everybody thought we were going to be only 5 points up, and now we're 8. Had we known what Milan was going to do, maybe that matters even more now because we would have been back to 10 and 11, and it would have been wrapped up already. But 10 and 11 would have not had. There's no chance. Um, so I think, yeah, we'll see. We might know by the next couple matches, like if we're able to gain points on them in the next couple weeks, that will pretty much wrap it up. I think.
Yeah. So we'll keep an
So
eye on it. But mentality now more than ever is I'm going to be watching this closely because we can't come out. I don't know. I really hope we can find some kind of middle ground between this anxious, this neurotic, anxiety ridden,
oh
scared
god,
mentality that shows through, but then also there's this flippant, complacent, uh,
yep,
like unearned feeling of confidence sometimes too. So I
there
think
sure is.
so. I don't know. It feels like you never know which way this team is going to go. So hopefully for the next 10 games we can find some kind of middle ground on there. And for now I trust in Kivu, but uh
I
yeah,
I do
we'll
now more that I know that Laturo is not that far away. We only have to play maybe one more of these matches without Laturo, which I think people are probably not giving enough weight to.
yeah.
Because going back before Bodo, we haven't really had this issue that much in the league. It's really post Bodo,
Yeah, I
right?
think
Am I wrong?
there's no, you're right. It's the Juventus game was the last time we showed great spirit, fight, heart, whatever you'd like to call it, Grinta. And you look at everything, I think we have played 7 games since the Juventus game. Two
Yep,
losses to Bodo, the draw against Atalanta, the loss against Milan. We beat Lecce and Genoa in there,
yep. And Drew
and
Coleman.
drew Como in a game where we looked just disinterested the whole time.
Yep.
And it's I'd say that yeah, missing Lautaro for that stretch, you can say that there's a lot to that, and I think if we had him on the field, we flip a lot of those results. But looking
Yep.
ahead, the our recent run of form does concern me when we putting it out in words like that. So
Yeah.
really hoping the next month needs to be better than the last month. I think we can all agree about that.
Absolutely. I just want to see how much of a difference having Laturo back makes. Because if I'm right, in the way I think I am, I think it will rejuvenate this squad in a way.
Yeah,
Even if it's just like the Laturo moments that we talk about in our group all the time of like someone needs to step it up here, and it's almost always Laturo that takes it on his shoulders and either rips it in the net or creates the chance that gets the ball in the net.
yeah. And he leads by
But
example.
that's
And with I don't know, I think getting Çalhanoğlu may be back for Fiorentina, but it would be like we've said,
yeah,
we know this team is headed for some serious overhaul this offseason probably, and I think it would be really nice to see a fully healthy Inter squad take this over the finish line in first place. One last
it's
hurrah for Lautaro, Çalhanoğlu, Barella, Bastoni, Thuram, like the whole core for the past 2, 3 years. It would be nice
Yep.
to see one last accomplishment to see these guys off properly. Because as much as we crap on some of them, these guys have been key contributors for us, and they've given us some moments to be really happy about the past few years. So
And
I
they've
don't
gotten
want
our
to.
financial situation in a good place too, finally too. They're getting us out of debt and
Absolutely.
getting our books sorted. They got us a second star, and if they can prevent Milan from getting one this year, all in. So you're
Well,
right. We do crap on them a lot, but we have to remember a lot of them are 37 and just don't have it in the tank anymore. So
yeah.
I'm sorry, Summer,
Well,
but I can't stop it. You're so past your prime, buddy.
yeah, he's done his part. He's just overstayed the welcome a little bit by a year.
And that's
I
our
don't think
fault. We should have
that's his.
replaced him.
Yeah, it's not his fault. There are some things we can pin on him, but we should have been prepared for this already, and I think we should have been. Like I
Yep.
said, we should have been alternating more anyway. But yeah,
Cool.
I think that'll just about do it for that's everything I had on the agenda, and I know we just hit that 80-minute mark. Um, Dave, is there anything else you wanted to get into before I let you go here?
No, I don't think so. I'm just really excited that Lazio showed up for us. Forza Lazio!
Or yeah, that was a very pleasant surprise today to help turn the weekend around. All right.
It sure was. And thank you, referees, for not interfering to help them this time.
Yeah, I guess they had to
Appreciate-
give us a bone. They had to give us something back after yesterday. But
Yeah, they couldn't give them the match winning penalty in the 92nd minute this week, I guess.
no. Well,
It's
hopefully
like,
next time out we won't have to worry about any officiating and we can just get a business-like win. So next week, everyone,
yeah.
Travis should be back. So don't worry. We'll see who he has on with him. But thank you, everyone, for listening. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, share all the things. And as always, Forza Inter.
Forza Inter.